Good Bloomsday. I'm so glad you're joining us for today's Bloomsday.
Me too.
I'm Judith Roberts from the Literacy Project, and of course,
I'm
Rosemary
Rosemary King.
Kane.
In unison. In unison.
Tonight's Bloomsday is a benefit for the Literacy Project. And I was thinking how we're here because of a love of literature, particularly the great hero of Ireland, James Joyce. But it's an embracing of literature. And our students at the Literacy Project, we have 300 adult students every year, they're on a journey from literacy to literature. So hope that you will help us tonight by going to www.literacyproject.org and give a donation to help our students on their journey to loving learning and loving literature. Rosemary is going to tell you.
Here we are on the 16th of June, and it's Bloomsday, and we've collaborated many a time, and we're usually in the kind of the natural habitat of James Joyce, a pub. But of course, we're not at a pub, we're out in the garden, and we are thinking about next year's Bloomsday that'll be in a pub, but so far so good. James Joyce, he left Ireland at age 22. He never really looked back much geographically, but of course Ireland was every day with him in his writings. Ulysses, the greatest aspirational read, I think, of all time. If you can chew off even a few pages of that, I would recommend you actually listen to it. It's the vernacular language of the Dublin of the times. Or you start with Dubliners, the greatest collection of short stories, and the last short story, The Dead, from which there will be a reading, is probably one of the best in the English language. It was thought that Ulysses was banned in Ireland. It was banned in many countries. It was considered pornographic. And indeed, the Molly Bloom soliloquy does maybe produce a slight blush periodically. The Irish decided not to ban it because it would have cost too much to produce it and too much money to fight the legalities. And so it actually was not banned, and neither did James Joyce win the Nobel Prize. He should have. But anyway, he did not. But he has gone on to fame and fortune, as the greatest writer to ever come out of Ireland, and certainly the father of the modern novel. A drink to James.
To James and to you, Rosemary.
Hi, I'm Debbie. I'm a recent Literacy Project graduate, and I'm so happy to be talking to you guys right now. At first, when I first got to Literacy Project, I was very nervous and scared. I wouldn't put myself on the camera, and after experiencing a little bit more days in school and being comfortable with my teacher and my classmates, I put myself on camera so everybody can see me, and so I can learn better. And after practice with my teacher, I had failed my first test, and then I did it again and I passed. And the math was the hardest for me, but I ended up passing it, and I became a graduate of my HiSET December 16, 2021, and I will be speaking for graduation, so I'm really proud of that. I'm so proud of what the Literacy Project has given me, because they have connected me to so many different areas, whether it was education or whether it was career goals. And they have helped me connect with GCC, they helped me connect with the Career Center, Mass Hire, and many more opportunities from there. I'm very happy to be here talking, and I just hope that you guys keep providing the funding for us so that you can help more students like me that were struggling but finally got their HiSET after so many years. It's been 18 years for me. I'm happy to be here to talk about it, and I just hope that you guys provide the need, that the funding and the donation, so that more students can learn, and it will be better environment for everybody and a better education, and everything will be just so great for all the students. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I want to give a picture of Dublin, so complete that if the city suddenly disappeared from Earth, I could reconstruct it out of my book.
So we fall in love with learning, learning to love, and loving to learn at the Literacy Project. So please help us out tonight. Go to www.literacyproject.org to make a donation so that we can provide laptops for our students. All of our classes now are online, and we can provide those laptops so our students can work from home and continue with their education to make a better tomorrow, to love learning and learn to love. Thank you so much.
Between his hands, then slipping one arm swiftly about her body.
Adieu, 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 bid adieu to girlish days. Happy love is calling. that doth become thee fair, the snood upon thy yellow hair. Bid adieu, 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 adieu to girlish days. When thou hast heard his name upon the bugles of the cherubim, begin thou softly to unzone a girlish bosom unto him. Then softly to undo the snood, that is the sign of maidenhood. Bid adieu, 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 adieu to girlish days.
He stood her head between his hands, then slipping one arm swiftly about her body and drawing him towards her, he said softly, "Greta, dear, what are you thinking about?" She did not answer, nor yield wholly to his arm. He said again softly, "Tell me what it is, Greta. I think I know what is the matter. Do I know?" She did not answer at once. Then she said in an outburst of tears, "Oh, I am thinking about that song, The Lass of Aughrim." She broke loose from him and ran to the bed, and throwing her arms around the bedweil, hid her face. Gabriel stood stock still for a moment in astonishment, and then followed her. As he passed in the way of the cheval mirror, he caught sight of himself in full length, his broad, well-filled shirt front, the face whose expression always puzzled him when he saw it in the mirror, and his glimmering, gold-rimmed eyeglasses. He halted a few paces from her and said, "What about the song? Why does it make you cry?" She raised her head from her arms and dried her eyes with the back of her hand like a child. A kinder note than he had intended went into his voice. "Why, Greta?" he asked. "I am thinking about that person long ago who used to sing that song." "And who was that person long ago?" asked Gabriel, smiling. "It was a person I used to know in Galway when I was living with my grandmother," she said. The smile passed away from Gabriel's face. A dull anger began to gather again in the back of his mind, and the dull fires of his lust began to glow angrily in his veins. "Someone you were in love with?" he asked ironically. "It was a young boy I used to know," she answered, "named Michael Fury. He used to sing that song, The Lass of Aughrim. He was very delicate." Gabriel was silent. He did not wish to think that he was interested in this delicate boy. "I can see him so plainly," she said. After a moment, "such eyes as he had, big dark eyes, and such an expression in them, an expression." "Oh, then you were in love with him," said Gabriel. "I used to go walking with him," she said, "when I was in Galway." A thought flew across Gabriel's mind. Perhaps that was why you wanted to go to Galway with that Ivors girl, he said coldly. She looked at him, and again in surprise. What for? Her eyes made Gabriel feel awkward. He shrugged his shoulders and said, How do I know? To see him, perhaps. She looked away from him along the shaft of light towards the window in silence. He is dead, she said at length. He died when he was only 17. Isn't that a terrible thing, to die as young as that? What was he? Asked Gabriel, still ironically. He was in the gasworks, she said. Gabriel felt humiliated by the failure of his irony and by the evocation of this figure from the dead, a boy in the gasworks. While he had been full of memories of their secret life together, full of tenderness and joy and desire, she had been comparing him in her mind with another. A shameful consciousness of his own person assailed him. He saw himself as a ludicrous figure, acting as a penny boy for his aunts, a nervous, well-meaning sentimentalist, orating to vulgarians and idealizing his own clownish lusts, the petty old fatuous fellow he had caught a glimpse of in the mirror. Instinctively, he turned his back more to the light, lest she might see the shame that burned upon his forehead. He tried to keep up his tone of cold interrogation, but his voice, when he spoke, was humble and indifferent. I suppose you were in love with this Michael Fury, Greta, he said. I was great with him at that time, she said. Her voice was veiled and sad. Gabriel, feeling now in vain it would be to try to lead her whither he had purposed, caressed one of her hands and said, almost sadly, And what did he die of so young, Greta? Consumption, was it? I think he died for me, she answered.
Hi, my name is Christine. Most people call me Chris. I found the Literacy Project years ago and attempted to do schooling then, and it didn't work. I decided in 2019 that I needed to go back to school and get an education so I could have a GED, go to college, take courses. During that time, I've met a wonderful array of people, and staff couldn't have been better. I've read a lot of books with Beth, and it was Anne Frank Diary, Unbroken. I read Sarah's Key on my own after we read The Book Thief. That meant a lot to me. Reading with Beth helped me to continue to be better at reading. Beth helped me understand algebra better than I had before. I would highly recommend this company for people of all ages, and I do recommend them. I am 53 years old and just got my HISA.
And Gibraltar, as a girl, where I was a flower of the mountain, yes. When I put the rose in my hair like the Andalusian girls used. Or shall I wear red? Yes. And how he kissed me under the Moorish wall, and I thought, well, as well him as another. And then I asked him with my eyes to ask again, yes. And then he asked me, would I? Yes. And to say yes, my mountain flower. And first I put my arms around him, yes. And drew him down to me so he could feel my breasts, all perfume, yes. And his heart was going like mad. And yes, I said, yes, I will. Yes.
At the Literacy Project, we're all about hope. Hope for a better future for our students, for a better tomorrow. And James Joyce said, I am tomorrow or some future day, what I established today. So one of our students at the Literacy Project said, the Literacy Project has given me back my tomorrows. We've given her a second chance at having a better future, a better tomorrow. And our students go on, once they have the high school diploma, they go on to community college, to job training programs, and to better jobs to support themselves and their families. One of our students from Northampton, Joe, said, all of my problems in life come from being undereducated. He said, I never knew that education also included art and poetry and literature. I never thought I'd be the person to look forward to Monday morning, to coming to school at the Literacy Project. Not only have I learned, but I've learned to love myself more. So we fall in love with learning to love, and loving to learn at the Literacy Project. So please help us out tonight. Go to www.literacyproject.org to make a donation so that we can provide laptops for our students. All of our classes now are online, and we can provide those laptops so our students can work from home and continue with their education to make a better tomorrow, to love learning and learn to love. Thank you so much.
Hey, this is Joseph Lubo for the Literacy Project. Just a couple personal thoughts. Most of my struggles in life were directly related to education. At 58, education is scary. The Literacy Project was very warm and welcoming. I never realized education would make me a better steward in the community. And I never realized the arts was part of education. And I can't ever remember on Sunday saying, I can't wait till school. But for all I've learned here, the Literacy Project has taught me to love myself. Sincerely, Joseph Leopold. Thank you.
So they lived abroad, Paris, Trieste, moved around. And when they were flush with money, of course, then they lived well. When they weren't flush, they lived like anybody else, going between Paris, Trieste, ups and downs, just like any couple in the world. I'll let them tell you the story of this, all right? Let's hear about it all, Nora.
Girl comes to Dublin. Ora pro nobis Nora, pray, pray, pray for the soul of Molly Bloom. A holy tide when I made the drastic choice to run away with Jimmy Joyce. Dublin snobs did scoff and sneer. They said I'd wrecked his bright career. Instead, of course, I was his muse, a notion they would disabuse. Ora pro nobis Nora, pray, pray, pray for the soul of Molly Bloom. Said I could not read or write. Her soul, it should be damned to hell for that select way. But Nora, 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 you're the one who'll pay. Your reputation smashed to bits, an exile from the snow green sea. Nora, 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 ooh, will you come to me? Dublin stopped his off and sneer. They said I wrecked his bright career. Instead, of course, I was his muse, a notion they would disabuse. Ora pro nobis Nora, pray, pray, pray for the soul of Molly Bloom. Ora pro nobis Nora, ora pro nobis Nora, pray, pray, pray for the soul of Molly Bloom. Ora pro nobis Nora, ora pro nobis
James did not marry for 31 years after leaving Ireland. Living in sin was frowned upon in Europe, not just in Ireland. Because of their unstable financial situation, they lived in over 20 different locations in Europe, moving from apartment to apartment and country to country. The children, Lucia and Giorgio, were born in Trieste and Paris.
In Dublin, slum conditions makes me think of Galway and the open sea. Living here in Paris, in Dublin, slum conditions makes me think of Galway and the open sea. If exile is our mission, and one day we'll be famous, despite our poverty here in Paris.
Living here in Dublin, some conditions makes me think of Paris and its liberty. Living here in Dublin, some conditions makes me think of Paris and its liberty. If exile is your mission, then one day I'll be famous and live in liberty in Dublin. Living here in Galway, at home with my relations, makes me think of Paris, that is home to me. So I want you here beside me, beside me, beside me, with my family, despite our poverty here in Galway.
Living here in Trieste in 1907 makes me think of Lucia, the year that she was born. If exile is our mission, then one day, someday she'll be famous, despite her poverty here in Trieste.
Living here in Paris, in Dublin, some conditions
Makes me think of Galway and the open sea.
Why is it that words like this seem dull and cold? Because they are not tender enough to be your name. Every life is many days, day after day after day. We walk through ourselves, meeting robbers, ghosts, giants, old men, young men, wives, widows, brothers in love, but always meeting ourselves. Writing in English is the most ingenious torture ever devised for sins committed in previous lives. The English reading public explains the reason why.
James Joyce said, I am tomorrow, or some future date, what I established today. He was a hopeful man, looking to a better tomorrow. Please help us at the Literacy Project to give our students a better tomorrow. Go to www.literacyproject.org and make a donation. Thank you.
Happy Bloomsday. Hope you're enjoying some Guinness for Bloomsday. The song I'm going to do has a rousing chorus to it, so we need a lot of people singing along, but I don't see any around here. So while you're watching this video, you can sing the chorus at home or wherever you're watching it. Here are the words. Whack full the da. That's kind of Irish for la 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 or doobie doobie doo or something like that. Whack full the da. Now dance to your partner. Whack full the da, now dance to your partner. Then we have round the floor your trotters shake. Your trotters are your legs, so it means you're dancing. Whack full the da, now dance to your partner. Round the floor your trotters shake. Not much more. Wasn't it the truth I told ya? Sticky papers. Lots of fun at Finnegan's wake. So, here's how it goes. Whack full the da, now dance to your partner. Round the floor your trotter shake. Wasn't it the truth I told ya? Lots of fun at Finnegan's wake. So sing it real loud every time we get to the chorus, okay? Okay. Tim Finnegan lived on Walking Street, a gentle Irishman, mighty odd. He had a brogue, both rich and sweet, and to rise in the world he carried a hod. Now Tim had a sort of a tippler's way. With the love for the liquor, poor Tim was born. And to help him on his work each day, he'd a drop of the crayther every morn. Whack full the da, now dance to your partner. Around the floor your trotter shake. Wasn't it the truth I told you? Lots of fun at Finnegan's wake. Well, one morning Tim got rather full. His head felt heavy, which made him shake. He fell from his ladder, and he broke his skull, dead. They carried him home, his corpse to wake. They rolled him out in a nice clean sheet, and they laid him out across the bed. A bucket of whiskey at his feet, and a barrel of porter at his head. Whack for the da, and dance to your partner. Around the floor your trotter shake. Wasn't it the truth I told you? Lots of fun at Finnegan's wake. His friends assembled at the wake, and Mrs. Finnegan called for lunch. Lunch! First she brought out tea and cake, then pipe, tobacco, and whiskey punch. And Billy O'Brien began to cry. Such a nice clean corpse did you ever see? Tim of Arnott, why did you die? Will you shut your gob, said Paddy McGee. Whack full the da, now dance to your partner. Round the floor your trotter shake. Wasn't it the truth I told you? Lots of fun at Finnegan's wake. And Maggie O'Connor took up the job. Biddy, says she, you're wrong, I'm sure. Biddy gave her a belt in the gob and left her sprawling on the floor. Then civil war did soon engage. 'Twas woman to woman and man to man. Shillelagh law was all the rage, and a row and a ruction soon began. Whack full the da, now dance to your partner. Round the floor your trotter shake. Wasn't it the truth I told you? Lots of fun at Finnegan's wake. Mickey Maloney, he ducked his head when a bucket of whiskey flew at him. It missed, and landing on the bed, the whiskey splattered over Tim. He's the dead guy. Bedad, he revives, see how he rises. Timothy rising from the dead, saying, whittle your whiskey round like blazes. Thunder and Jesus, do you think I'm dead? Whack full the da, now dance to your partner. Around the floor your trotter shake. The truth I told you, lots of fun at Finnegan's wake. Whack full the da, dance to your partner. Around the floor your trotter shake. Wasn't it the truth I told you? Lots of fun at Finnegan's wake. Now, the song Finnegan's Wake was very popular in music halls in the 1860s. And James Joyce did something very, very clever with that title of Finnegan's Wake. He took out the apostrophe. So it's no longer Finnegan apostrophe S wake. It's Finnegan's, a word, wake. Instead of being about the wake of someone named Finnegan, Finnegan's becomes a noun and wake becomes a verb. So he's not saying something about the wake of Finnegan. He's saying a statement, Finnegan's wake. Finnegans are humans, and they wake. We all wake in an endless cycle, in a circle of birth and death and rebirth. And that's what the whole book is about, that endless cycle of birth and death and rebirth. And the whole book is a circle. It has no beginning, it has no middle, it has no end. It just goes around and around and around. Now, the very last word on the very last page of the book is the word "the." Just hanging there in midair, no comma, no dot, 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 no anything else, just "the." And the first word of the book is a lowercase word. The word is river run. So what happens is you reach the very last word of the book, and you go back to the beginning, and it goes around and around and around. So it comes down to Finnegan, begin again. And I'm going to read the very last few words of the book and go right back into where it starts again, the beginning, the end, the beginning, and the end. So, Ave Laval, my leaves have drifted from me, all, but one clings. I'll bear it on me to remind me of Lif. Oh, soft this morning hours, yes, carry me along, Taddy, like you done through the toy fair. If I had seen him bearing down on me now, under white spread wings, like he'd come from archangels, I'd sink down, I'd die over his feet, humbly dumbly, only to wash up. Yes, tid. There's where, first, we pass through grass, be hush the bush, to wish, gull. Gulls, far calls, coming far, end here, us then, Finn again, take, busoffle thee, memor me, till thousands and thee, oops, the keys to, given, away, alone, a last, a loved, along the river run, past even Adams, from swerve of shore to bend of bay, brings us by a commodious vicus of recirculation back to Howth Castle and environments. The beginning and the end and the beginning.